Never blindly trust a gun. If you use a firearm for protection, you want it to function every time. We discussed 10 guns today that failed when it counted the most. These are true stories. These are safety recalls, poor designs, or parts that failed. Some of these failures resulted in injuries. Some were near misses, and some destroyed faith in brands people once trusted. This video is not intended to disparage all guns or manufacturers. Most companies correct issues and learn from them. But you should be informed about history before you purchase. Always verify serial numbers and manufacturer alerts. Always return your gun if it is recalled. Check your equipment. Practice with it. And if you are in doubt, consult a gunsmith. We will be counting down from number 10 to number 1. For every gun, we will do what the gun is, what happened wrong, what the company did, and what you do if you own one. Let's begin. The Winchester XPR is a basic bolt-action rifle. It was designed to be a cheap and dependable hunting rifle. But in October of 2015, a recall shocked owners. The safety could move internal parts of the trigger. In some guns, moving the safety from safe to fire could make the rifle fire without pulling the trigger. That means the gun could go off just from touching the safety lever. Winchester told owners not to load the rifle and to send it in for a fix. The repair replaced the trigger components and had the safety function properly. If you have an XPR, check the safety and trigger with care. Don't load it until the gun is inspected by the manufacturer or a reliable gunsmith. Even after a retrofit, exercise extra care with the rifle and test it in a safe, controlled manner at the range. The FN-502 Tactical is a .22 lengthy rifle pistol constructed like a duty piece. It was appealing to be used for training and with a suppressor. But early in 2022, some pistols shipped from the factory with improper or absent safety levers. That allowed the manual safety to be on and the pistol to fire anyway. The problem resulted from assembly issues during manufacturing. FN asked owners to discontinue use of contaminated pistols and return them for repair. If you have an FN-502, check the serial number and call FN for instructions. Owners need to check their serial range and ensure the safety functions properly prior to use. A dealer or factory repair will see that the safety lever is installed correctly. This is not something to disregard. Repair it prior to training or relying upon it for any serious application. Colt CBX. Colt brought out the CBX series in order to get into the bolt-action game. These rifles appeared cutting-edge and accurate, and many were enthusiastic. But by May of 2025, Colt recalled the entire series. The issue was how the trigger reset when employing the safety. If you fired while in safe, then changed to firing, the rifle might fire without a second trigger pull. Colt discontinued the CBX and replaced it with refunds or new rifles rather than a mere parts remedy. That is unusual and significant. If a manufacturer ceases to produce a model rather than repair it, the flaw likely was serious. Since the gun could be fired immediately after being taken off safe, Colt advised owners to discontinue using the rifles and execute their refund or replacement policy. Since Colt pulled out the line, owners required direct instructions from Colt regarding refunds or substitutes. If you still possess a CBX, get in touch with Colt and act on their recommendation. Avoid speculating repairs or acquiring parts from unverified sources. Remington attempted to revive a vintage pistol by introducing the R51. The concept had a sharp and trim appearance, but the initial production in 2014 had numerous issues. The list was lengthy: failure to feed, failure to extract, failure to eject, slide did not return to battery, loose pins, and so on. Worse, there had been out-of-battery discharges reported. That is, the gun would discharge when the slide was not closed all the way. That is likely to cause ruinous damage or injury. Remington recalled the pistol, redesigned it, and reintroduced a second generation afterward. But the early reputation was marred. If you have an early R51, be extremely careful. A lot of owners had the guns returned for repairs, but others continued to experience problems. Get a qualified gunsmith to check feed ramps, extractors, and the slide to ensure the pistol is safe to fire. The Ruger Mark line is cherished for its 222 rimfire training and small game pistols. The Mark V introduced simpler takedown and newer technology. However, in June 2017, Ruger recalled numerous Mark V pistols for a manual safety defect. If the safety was in between safe and fire, shifting it all the way into fire might have the pistol discharge without the trigger being moved again. Ruger provided a retrofit to repair the safety pieces and stamped fixed pistols to indicate they were repaired. Ruger's retrofit repaired most pistols, but check that the safety is signed by Ruger and the mark is there. If you notice any hesitation in the safety or unusual discharges, discontinue shooting at once and contact Ruger support. Ruger constructed the American pistol as a striker-fired 9mm to match other duty pistols. It typically functioned well. But by 2018's October, Ruger informed customers of excessive slide and barrel wear on certain 9mm models. Cracks beside the ejection port showed up after hard use, perhaps a bit over 10,000 rounds for certain pistols. Ruger provided inspections and replaced stronger barrels for damaged pistols. If you have your pistol for duty or heavy practice, watch for cracks or excessive wear. Schedule regular inspections for heavy users. Check metal fatigue around the ejection port and cracks on the frame or slide. If you find any damage, discontinue use of the pistol and call Ruger to inspect and repair it. The Shield EZ was acclaimed for being easy to operate. It was designed for those who find heavy slides difficult to handle or for those who require a lighter recoil spring. But in November of 2020, Smith & Wesson recalled many Shield EZ pistols made between March and October of that year. The problem was hammers with tiny metal cracks from a supplier. These cracks could make the hammer break and cause the pistol to fire during slide closure. In rare cases, the gun might fire multiple rounds with one pull. Smith & Wesson checked and replaced hammers free of charge. Smith & Wesson had a return and repair program. If your Shield EZ is within the date range, get it in for the replaced hammer. Don't neglect minor cracks. They lead to large failure when stressed. The Sig Sauer P365 revolutionized carry when it was released. It put a lot of capacity into a very compact frame, and it was widely popular. However, initial production units had numerous issues. Striker parts were failing, there were feeding and ejection issues, poor primer strikes, and failure of slides to lock back. Such issues compromised confidence in a carry gun. Sig never officially recalled early P365 pistols, but the company did rework internals and refine quality control on later runs. If you have an early P365, check for updates and consider taking your pistol to the range with safe practices. Early P365 owners should check parts and think about replacing striker components if recommended. Test the pistol in safe conditions and have any extractor or ejection malfunctions reported to SIG for instruction. All of these cases have a lesson. First, regardless of the brand, parts can fail. Supplier problems, assembly errors, or design decisions can cause risk. Second, manufacturers might recall or repair issues, but you have to do something. Verify serial numbers and study manufacturer bulletins. Third, training and safe gun handling are not choices. Handle every weapon as though it is loaded. Keep your trigger finger off the trigger until your sights are on target. Fourth, have a gunsmith or armorer inspect your firearm if you believe that it can be a risk. Don't attempt to repair a safety-critical component yourself unless you're competent. And last, practice safe storage and honesty regarding the reliability of your equipment. People only trust people who are trustworthy. If you have any model listed in this video, pause and verify the serial number against the manufacturer's recall list. Call the manufacturer or local dealer for instructions. If the manufacturer requests that you send it in, comply. If they offer a free part or retrofit, take care of it. If a manufacturer ceases production on a model, request the official solution, refund, or replacement strategy. And most importantly, don't forget to have regular maintenance and inspections done. If you use a gun for protection, test it frequently and maintain it with all factory safety updates. Guns are devices that need respect. They can save your life, but only if they perform as they should. The 10 guns we discussed had genuine failures. Some were repaired, some lost trustworthiness. But the responsibility is your own. Learn about your gun, check for recalls, practice, and if you can't trust a gun, don't use it to keep you safe. Let us know in the comments below if you currently own or ever used any of these models. Share your experience. We learn from one another's experience. If you enjoyed this video, click like, subscribe, and ring the bell for more real gear talk. Share this with a buddy who might be considering purchasing one of these models and needs to be aware of the risks. If you would like, we can do a follow-up video on how to see if there's a recall step-by-step and how a gunsmith checks a gun. Let us know. Thanks for watching Gun Hunter. Stay safe, stay smart, and trust the gun that you carry.